Hello, everybody. Welcome back to TCS Everyday Psychics. I am Sarah.
I am Karissa.
And we have something a little different today. If you watched the most recent video with me and Trevor, we talked about how we're getting a little bit tired of the ghost hunting stuff. We'll come back to it for sure, but we just needed a little bit of a break. So Karissa and I recently discovered that we are both fascinated by conspiracy theories and particularly the missing 411 conspiracy theories. And I don't know if everyone's heard of this, but it's a super weird phenomenon in which people go missing under odd circumstances in national parks and areas of wilderness all across the world. And they go missing, and there's usually a set of very similar circumstances surrounding the either the death or the missing situation. Karissa, do you know off the top of your head some of those weird circumstances? I know that people have been found, like a baby, let's say, or a toddler, a little kid goes missing and they get found 50 miles away and at a height that they wouldn't be able to reach by themselves, that kind of thing.
Yep. Missing through cold winter night. No. Oftentimes they hear about, in those caves that a small child is found. They've mentioned my mommy was there, my daddy was there, family members, which, in those cases, the family members really aren't there. So What's that is the question, or who is that? Mm-hmm. They are found with no harm to their bodies, physically, as far as animals go.
Sometimes a couple of them have been found as if they had fallen from a great height, but there's nowhere around them there where they would have fallen from. So that's weird. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think there's been many who they'll find their clothes, they'll find their shoes or their clothes, usually shoes, and not the person. The shoes have been taken off and placed carefully somewhere, next to each other, but they can't find the person. There have been a couple instances, I believe, where people have heard either the missing person's voice or, if they had a gun for hunting or whatever, they would hear gunshots. But when they went to that space, they could not, there was nothing there, but they were still hearing it as if, the person was there, they just couldn't see them, which is interesting to me. It brings up questions of is there a time slip, or a different dimension? I don't know if I want to say dimension.
Portal or something. Portal,
yeah. So it's fascinating stuff. We've read the books and we've both been interested in it for a long time. So we thought it would be cool to listen to some stories of some classic missing 411 stories and feel into it and see if we can, get anything. We were just discussing how sometimes with these big mysteries or these really odd situations, if you try to feel into it as a psychic, sometimes you're just blocked, and we don't know why. Sometimes you just are not allowed to see. But hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll be able to feel into this and at least get some answers, or at least maybe some context. All right, so we're gonna start with these stories. Karissa and I are gonna feel into them as the story is told. And then we'll just, at the end of each story, share what we've got. And thank you to this channel. It's called Missing Persons Mysteries, and we'll put it in the description in the below. We appreciate being able to listen to these stories.
Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode. This time, we take a look at 10 of the strangest national park disappearances. In the United States National Park System, there are more than 84 million acres of preserved woods, deserts, mountains, and other wilderness. In the past 100 years, there have been a number of individuals who have simply vanished. Among those who vanished were hikers, children, campers, hunters, and seasoned outdoors people. But is there more to these disappearances than just kids wandering off or hikers becoming disoriented? What could cause someone to seemingly vanish into thin air? Now, there are two approaches people take when explaining these mysterious disappearances. The first being accident by misadventure, and the other supernatural in nature. Most hiking experts would say that those missing had made common mistakes, like taking on more than they could handle, or failing to time their turn back to beat the sunset. Others believe that there's some type of portal, entity, cryptid, and some have even gone as far as suggesting the government is involved. Whatever you believe, there's no denying that the following 10 cases are definitely unexplained. Number 10, Prabdeep Shran. Prabdeep Shran was a 25-year-old Canadian Army reservist who disappeared from Australia's Mount Kosciuszko National Park, located in the southeastern state of New South Wales. Shran was studying abroad in Australia in May 2013 when he decided to take a 1,700-mile road trip from the Gold Coast to Melbourne. Shran rented a van, drove to the park's Charlotte Pass in the Snowy Mountains, and simply vanished. The last sign of him being alive that day were the footprints a fellow hiker saw imprinted in the snow. The search for Shran began when the rental company discovered that the van he rented had not been returned. Shran hadn't told anyone what route or side hikes he was planning, and the search may have started days or even a week after he went missing, since it was the rental company that first reported the disappearance. Once the van Shran had rented was located, searchers were about to figure out his hiking plans by looking at the search history on his laptop. Shran's family hired private searchers after Australian authorities called off the search after 2 weeks. The investigators used tower data from Shran's phone and a trained dog to track his trail to a treacherous area called the Western Fall Wilderness. The search for Shran was the biggest search in Mount Kosciuszko National Park since the disappearance of 4 snowboarders in August of 1999. Their remains weren't discovered until the next spring when the snow melted and their bodies were found in a snow cave. Why did Shran choose to go hiking just 1 day before his van was due back to the rental agency? Why did he embark on a difficult and time-consuming hike in snowy weather? Why would a trained military reservist make a choice like that? Despite a private search costing his family more than $400,000, Shran has never been located. In 2015, even though Shran is still missing, the coroner's office determined that he died on or in the days shortly after May 14, 2013, while walking in the national park. His family is firm in their belief that they will see him again someday. Miracles do happen, said his mother. The family still continues to search the area where Shran was last seen.
I'm getting a feeling of wanted to be
Trying to
gone.
figure out a sensitive way to put it.
Yes, that was as well.
I don't think this is supernatural. I don't think this man wanted to come back.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Which is sad.
Mm-hmm.
I do think he has crossed over at this point. He's a healed spirit. I just kind of got that hit. And yeah, I don't believe there's anything spooky or paranormal here. I think this man, for reasons known to only him, wanted to disappear. I feel kind of like sort of maybe he felt like he was under a lot of pressure. He was very overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. I get that. I also get grief, saddened and lost, and amongst many other things that I'm sure he was dealing with in life. And
yeah, there's a lot of conflicting emotions, I think, in the days before he disappeared. I think that he maybe wasn't 100% sure he wasn't going to come back, but he was pretty sure. And he felt like this was a way he could still change his mind, if needed,
Mhm.
but he did not.
Yeah, I got a sign off signal.
Yeah.
And I think everybody probably understands what we mean at this point. With
Yeah,
trying to keep it as sensitive as possible.
yeah, and we also can't be too blunt for YouTube, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very sad. Yeah, just as a side note for these stories, obviously, I do think that there's a portion of them that have nothing to do with the supernatural. Obviously, people going in the wilderness, some of them are not going to make it back. The wilderness is a dangerous place for any number of reasons. And I think some of them are just natural accidents, or like in this case, people who were looking for a way to disappear and maybe looking for a way to never come back. But however, there are the similarities in many of these stories are just so fascinating to me. One thing that we didn't mention in the beginning is that a lot of the times in these stories, like almost every time, I think, if it's a missing 411 story, when the search begins for these people, bad weather moves in and hinders the search in so many of these stories. Like, no matter where it is on the earth, that seems to be a common characteristic. So let's see if that pops up in any of these. Okay, I guess we'll go on to the next one.
Number 9, David Gonzalez. David Gonzalez disappeared while camping with his family in Fawnskin, California on July 31st, 2004. David asked his mother if he could have the truck keys. There was a box of cookies in the truck, and he wanted a treat. The vehicle was only 50 yards, 46 meters away, and his mother watched him as he walked to the parking lot near the Big Bear Lake campsite in Northern California's San Bernardino National Forest. She turned her back for a second, and when she looked around again, David was gone. David's mother reported that she heard no sound at all while her back was turned, though she did see a beige truck speeding out of the campground around the time that her son went missing. Since there were no signs of abduction, authorities did not pursue that lead. The cookies that David went to get were still in his family's locked vehicle, so he never made it to the truck. Rescue teams in San Bernardino County scoured the woods for David. They found no signs of struggle or of the boy. The search went on for 9 days, but rescuers never found him alive. In 2015, hikers stumbled upon David's remains about a mile from his family's campsite. Authorities chalked this up to a mountain lion attack, but how could a mountain lion have silently dragged a 9-year-old boy a mile without leaving any blood or signs of struggle? Surely David would have screamed or cried out, but nobody at the campground, including his mother, reported hearing or seeing anything.
When I started feeling into that one, I got the worst, like, panicky feeling. Like, my heart started beating really quickly. Picturing, like, the moments leading up to this boy going missing. Just a really kind of grimy feeling.
Yes. Yeah. Same. Yes, I definitely agree. I
don't
think it's safe to say that wasn't an animal attack.
No.
Sure.
I kept getting the word snatched. Like, this person was snatched. Not necessarily, I don't necessarily know by who, though. I need to fill into it a little bit more.
Yeah, so I got that somebody was stalking and had their eye on a family and him, of course.
I definitely got that he was returned. He wasn't necessarily alive when he was returned. Yeah. I don't think this is supernatural either.
No, this is definitely a person.
Yeah, a very bad person.
But yeah, that's pretty sad.
I think you're right. The way that he was there one moment, gone the next, is that the abductor had been watching them and was able to get him away quickly.
Yeah, for sure. sometimes as a parent, I have two kids, and you quickly, look away.
Right.
And sometimes it feels like it's literally been 2 seconds, but sometimes it can be a little bit, longer than that. And
right. Particularly when you're preoccupied with
you're doing something
stuff done. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think I think you're right. It's a combination of the recounting by the mother, in her panic and her grief was maybe not as accurate as she thought it was. Her perception was different than what actually happened, which is that there is more time for him to be taken. Not a lot of time. I think this person was very quick and methodical about it, but it's so odd that he returned him, though, to the same, because, they must have known that that's not where they lived. It was a campsite.
Right.
Perhaps, maybe it's just because it was, a good place out of the way. Horrific.
Unless this person had a like a dugout. I don't really know what it's necessarily called. I guess it's not called a dugout, but like a space that was created.
Yeah. You know what? That lands with me completely. He had a place that he would take him that was nearby.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure this isn't the first.
Nope.
Person.
Or the last, I think.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Really, really awful. All right. Let's go to the next one. Are any of these going to be supernatural?
Right.
Let's see.
8-year-old Catherine Van Alst disappeared from Devil's Den State Park near Arkansas's Ozark National Forest when she and her family were camping.
Just real quick, another thing we failed to mention is that a whole ton of the missing 411 stories take place near landmarks or spaces or whatever that have the word devil in them, which is interesting. It's like, do the people who named that know that there was something wrong with that area? That kind of thing.
Number 8, Catherine Van Alst. 8-year-old Catherine Van Alst disappeared from Devil's Den State Park near Arkansas's Ozark National Forest when she and her family were camping. Catherine apparently was playing with her brothers when she wandered off and got lost. What makes Catherine's disappearance remarkable is she was found 6 days later. When found, she was wandering the woods and was eerily calm. University of Arkansas student Porter Chadwick was part of the search party that found Catherine. He told the Pittsburgh Press that when he found her, she walked stoically out of a cave and just said, "Here I am." Many other hikers have gotten lost in that part of the Ozarks and haven't been as lucky as Catherine. A grown woman was lost there for 17 days and died just 50 yards from the road. How did Catherine survive in the woods for 6 days? Did someone take her only to return her 6 days later? Or is there an explanation to this story that we simply can't comprehend? Either way, someone or something might just be lurking in Devil's Den.
I got an interesting one with that one.
So did I. You go first, though.
Okay. This was also human. Somebody that wanted her as their own, for the simple fact of as their child, which meant they did not want to harm her. Somehow, at some point, she was able to go.
I think regret. The person who took her, I think, just was overcome with regret. Maybe they realized, if they loved her like that, so did her actual parents.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree. Somebody unhinged, and I think she was lured in the beginning. She was lured away and taken care of, and then left in that cave or close to that cave because the person both was overcome with regret and also knew that there were people looking for this kid.
Yep. It wasn't. Probably like an unstable person, of course. And as far as the little girl goes, when traumatic things like that happen, oftentimes we don't even realize it at that moment. in some
Mhm.
cases, and
Right.
I'm not quite sure how old she would be right now, but
Yeah, it takes some time to sort of process
yeah,
this.
it has to come up. Yeah, our brain protects us through traumatic things in some cases, and it could be a situation to where she doesn't want to revisit that, or she may not truly remember.
Right. Yeah.
For this still to be considered a 411 situation.
Right. What I will say is the land, the Ozarks, I guess it was a spot in the Ozarks, felt odd to me, kind of ominous. Like, I just got the feeling that while this girl was taken by a human who had been sort of like watching and lured her away, I think either that idea was maybe planted in this woman's, I think it was a woman, in this woman's mind, or if she was somehow influenced by something in the forest. I don't know. It's hard to grasp. It's kind of flitting around, but I don't like the feel of those woods of that place where we felt into. It felt kind of
here. Oh yeah.
Go on. Sorry.
Sorry. No, what I was just going to say is, I actually got that she lost her children. Some kind of death. I'm not quite sure. If and I'm not sure if it was still while pregnant or if she was able to birth and then lost them. I'm not quite sure, but it was a loss of her own, and I feel like that may have something triggered. That was a trigger, and of course, the land itself.
Yeah, what I got was that she had a stillborn baby, and that, along with the influence of that land, just kind of caused her to just lose it a little bit, or a lot, actually. When you steal a kid, you've lost it a lot. So
yeah.
All right. So we got 3 down so far. 0 paranormal.
Yeah.
Oh, this one was the land was kind of weird to me, but
yes.
Number 7, Paula Weldon. There's an area in Green Mountain National Forest near Glastonbury Mountain and Vermont's Long Trail that believers in the paranormal call the Bennington Triangle. The area got this name because of a handful of mysterious disappearances which occurred between 1945 and 1950. Paula Weldon was the second person to go missing in that area of Green Mountain National Forest during this period. 18-year-old Paula was a college student who set out on Long Trail in December 1946. She was dressed for walking and not a long hike, wearing jeans, a coat, and sneakers. Her attire would imply that she planned to return before dark, when temperatures were supposed to dip below freezing. Paula told her roommate that she was taking a long walk, and she never returned. Several people spotted her as she hitchhiked her way to the trail and walked to the trailhead. When Paula was not back to her dorm by dark, her roommate let the school know, and the search began. Classes were suspended so students could help with the search. The process was disorganized at first, until Paula's father called in favors from police in 2 surrounding states. Unfortunately, the search didn't pan out, and frustrated family and friends had their own theories about what happened to her. Did Paula run off with a boyfriend? Was she abducted? Or did she fall victim to exposure? Her body has never been found, so her disappearance remains a mystery. Now, there is a rumor that this area of the Long Trail is home to a creature called the Bennington Monster. Could this Sasquatch-like cryptid have something to do with her disappearance? We may never know.
okay, I got something really strange for this,
Okay.
which is like, I just got the picture of you're walking in the woods. It's normal. You know where you are, and then you walk, and things start to seem unfamiliar, and you turn around, and it's a completely unfamiliar landscape, even though you had been walking that path the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess sort of like a confusion, like a forest madness, some kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's very like a very unsettling, very unmoored feeling.
Yeah.
What did you get?
Okay, so I got an image of the triangle and energetic point.
Mm-hmm.
Some type of, you know how they say that the pyramids host some type of energy, same type of feeling. As far as she goes, I did get a visual of her walking as well, and actually pretty chipper and, you know, just
Right.
la-di-da-di-da doing her thing. And I got a wave of just, she was in and out. She was like something hit her. And when I say hit her, not physically, but something came over her and she was just out of there. She
Yeah.
was out, and in and out.
I think when I'm saying like she turns around and it's totally unfamiliar landscape, I think it's because that was like she was no longer
Yeah.
where she was before.
Yeah.
So I don't. So when I read these stories, what I've gotten, you know, and it's not a very developed idea. It's just kind of an idea that pops into my head when I read this stuff. Is I hesitate to use the word portal, but some kind of slip. You know, like
Mhm.
there are certain natural conditions that provide for some kind of like dimensional slip or a portal or time slip, something like that. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I feel like that may be responsible for a number of these disappearances. And they would also explain the ones where people can hear their loved ones' voices, but they can't see them. And they sound like far away, even though they're like close to their ear. But yeah, the feeling of disorientation that I got when she realized when she was hit, like you said, with whatever that was, that wave of energy, or she stepped into the wrong spot and was transported, I think. Really strange.
Yeah. And I can't see her.
No,
Not a clue.
no,
Just,
she's gone.
yeah, just gone.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
can't feel her at all. I mean, I could
me
see
neither.
her, I could feel her energy when,
Up until that point
right.
for
And then
me.
it's just like snap. Although, no, I will say this. I guess I did feel her perception of what was going on afterwards with the disorientation and the looking
Mhm.
around and like where am I? These woods look almost familiar, but they're not. But then nothing, just gone.
Yeah. Yep. And I felt her a few seconds less than what you did, and that was to the point of her being bam.
Right.
I'm out of here. Like I'm out of my body. I'm out of my
So
familiarity, and that that was that.
my question is this. So do you think it's this phenomenon, which I truly do think this is happening to all people. This phenomenon is something like just certain natural conditions line up in the perfect way for this to happen? Or do you think something is making this happen?
I feel like this is just in general. I feel like it is the perfect conditions.
That's what I get.
Natural,
Mm-hmm.
something natural that
Yeah.
came with.
Yeah. Oh, gives me a shiver down my spine.
Yeah, I mean, like same as the ocean. Like there are certain parts that people are safe enough to go into, but there's just things that happen, and we have reasons of why some things may happen, but just natural events that Earth
Yeah.
and the elements do.
And
it's something unknown to me. I can't even explain it, but I know.
I'm having a hard time putting it into words. The other thing I got, which is strange, is that these conditions that allow for this transportation or this slip or whatever you want to call it, they're only there for like a moment. It's not like there's like a door that's always there in that forest. The natural, requirements just line up perfectly for like a split second, and then they're gone again. Which
it's like a phenomenon. It's not something that scientists are going to be able to go and figure it out.
I do feel like it's something that could be measured, but you would have to catch it at the exact right time. And I think there's probably parts of what's going on here that are beyond our current understanding.
Mm-hmm. And then sometimes and then like a piece of you was like, but like, Hmm. You know how there are those theories of people that are that they create. They're trying to create different dimensions and trying to do this and do that.
Yeah,
And I'm always like, sillies. What are you guys doing?
I know.
You know, like,
Yeah, I'm always like, that's a bridge too far. I like conspiracy.
yeah, like that's
not be
just
crazy.
simply not. Yeah, just simply not going to
But-
work. Or you
But
know,
yeah, it's spooky. It's very spooky. It just lined up perfectly for a split second. And if you're unlucky enough to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, you're transported somewhere. And
yeah,
I cannot feel where. It's not letting me see.
no, not at all, not at all.
There's an absolute block. I could feel
Yep.
what was going on with the girl to the point of her realization that something was very wrong here, and then nothing more. Absolute block.
Just in and out, and that's all I got. And I also got, if I can explain this correctly, a vision of her. Okay, so imagine someone. Okay, so imagine somebody. You know how they have like the cartoon effects. Like, let's say a cartoon punched the other cartoon, and then it shows like the visual effects of like you know.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I know what you're
So like I seen her, but she was going left. It wasn't forward or backwards. Like something like hit her and she went like left, and I could see like the
like a foof.
and that's
Just
that's why I'm like it's in and out, and that's literally all I can see.
Interesting. Yeah. I do think it was just, oh my gosh, that's so scary. I'm going to the woods in 2 weeks.
I was saying, yeah, you're Yep.
Wow, that's spooky. But yeah, it's very frustrating that we can't, it's just blocked, but I guess we're not allowed to know.
yeah, and that's okay. Maybe we don't want to know.
Maybe we don't want to know. Maybe our minds would be blown in a bad way.
Yep, exactly. A different set of fear would kick in.
Yes. Even more anxiety. Who needs that?
Yep, exactly. No, we already have.
No more. All right, let's see this next one.
Number 6, Larry Jeffrey. In 1966, a young boy by the name of Larry Jeffrey disappeared near the peak of 12,000-foot Mount Charleston in the Humboldt-Toyabe National Forest, just a short drive from Las Vegas. The search began immediately after Jeffrey wandered away from his brothers, and within days, the National Guard and a team of bloodhounds had joined the search. When Jeffrey disappeared, he was wearing light clothing, and authorities were doubtful that he could survive the cold temperatures of the desert at night. Searchers found and lost the trail a few times, and they discovered evidence that Jeffrey had been eating insects and foraged berries along the way. Overall, around 1,000 people searched for 16 days, but never found him. One searcher said it was though Jeffrey had just walked into oblivion.
Okay, so there's something with age here.
Mm-hmm.
There's something with younger people, like under 5, maybe, and just like very, very young children are affected differently by whatever this phenomenon is.
So what I got was, it's going to sound very strange. I seen a bunch of hands, and what I mean by that is I seen people, or I don't know if it's human or not, but I've seen the arms.
No.
Yeah. Within the space, as if they lived in the ground. Very strange. I don't even know how to explain this correctly, but that's just what I seen. That's what I got, and that's feeling a bit supernatural-ish.
I agree.
Yeah, and again, I'm not even seeing anything. I only saw the hands, many hands, wanting him, and in the ground, and that is all.
Oh. I could see him making his little way along for a little bit, lost, scared. And I think it's so hard to explain, but that feeling of him being like lost and scared and, not knowing what to do triggered something in whatever this thing is that took him. I don't know if it's something of the earth. I don't know if it's something that uses the earth to get, I don't know. it's again that block.
It's not human.
No, no,
So
absolutely.
when I say people, it has people type. It had arms,
Yeah.
but it is not human.
No.
And I can't say that it's an earthy because I don't believe it to be an earthy.
I don't. Yeah. It's an entity
giving,
of some kind, but like,
yes, not a clue what it is. And
no, I've never felt anything like this before.
Me neither. And I haven't seen this movie, but what is it called? Oof. It's giving almost like it looks like it could be like a caveman era, but it's not a caveman. It's
Something ancient, I would say.
Yeah, something ancient of the.
This is so weird.
Yeah.
Was it like awakened when people started moving around in certain areas?
Oh, yeah. And I don't know. I'm not quite sure. I feel like it's just present. It's just there.
It's there. It's always been there. But I only certain situations like trigger it to. The thing is, I don't know why it wanted this boy, and I don't think we're allowed to see that.
Yeah, exactly. I can only see this thing. I can't even see him or what happened to him.
I get
just that they were there and they wanted him,
yes.
And that is it.
I do get this feeling of like this thing is really adept at manipulation, and I don't just mean like manipulating others. I mean manipulating like the landscape where it is, manipulating time and space, whatever it needs to. It's very adept at just. I think maybe because it's so old, you know.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I agree.
How weird.
Yeah, that's very weird. I'm
gonna stop
into that thing.
Into that because it's giving me like a horrible feeling.
Yeah, especially with you. What is it? Next week you said, or 2 weeks? Can't remember. But,
yeah, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
What I will say though, for people watching, is the plan, if I have service, is to get on a Zoom with, Karissa or Trevor or somebody, and we can feel into the woods where I'm staying, because it's going to be like right in the middle of the Appalachian Mountains, and there's tons of spooky stories about that, and I've had weird experiences there before. We go all the time, so something to look forward to.
Yeah, exciting.
All right, next one.
Number 5, Charles McCullough. In 1974, 19-year-old Charles, or Chuck McCullough, left his home state of Virginia for an extended photography and hiking trip. Charles was a keen photographer, and he was planning to visit all the national parks to take photographs, but was inexperienced in the wilderness and was said to be very ill-prepared. It seems that he had planned to hike to Crater Lake along the North Road. A heavy snowfall during the previous 2 weeks dropped over 5 feet of fresh snow on the area. Cross-country skiers reported that at the time the snow was so soft and powdery that even with skis they were sinking up to their waists. Charles had told his friend that if they did not hear from him by February 1st, to call and report him missing. When Charles failed to call his friends, they filed a missing person report. Immediately, an extensive air and ground search of the northern section of the park was started, but no clues as to Charles' disappearance were uncovered. A year later, 2 hikers from Texas took a wrong turn and ended up in a remote canyon when they stumbled upon an old, dirty, ripped backpack in a place called Bybee Creek. The hikers called in the park rangers, and one of the seasonal rangers remembered the description of Charles' backpack. So another search took place in the area where the backpack was found, and the very next day, Charles' remains were located. The skeletal remains were described as bizarre. There were foot bones in the socks, but Charles' jeans were empty except for the broken off ends of his shin bones sticking up. Strangely, the jeans were unbuttoned and the belt buckle left undone. The rest of him was simply gone, as if he had just melted away. The official cause of death was determined to be natural causes.
Oh,
that's interesting. Oh.
Right when I started feeling into that, I became completely ungrounded, like completely unmoored. It was a very strange feeling. Like I was very high up. So I had to ground myself again.
All right. So for him, I just got a visual of him pointing that away. And so that means that he walked a particular way. As he walked there, unbeknownst to him, this was a spot where unsafe due to the physical elements. And, I again got a feeling of a force.
Me too.
And I don't know what the force is. I don't know if it's a weather related force or a energetic related force. I don't know, but unknowingly he went into that direction, and that was final for him.
I don't think it was a weather related force.
Okay.
Although maybe what I'm seeing is just like, picture a person standing up and then a wind that is just so strong and fierce that it just takes half of you away almost.
Mm-hmm.
I do feel a little bit of a consciousness with whatever this is, but not much. I do think it's some kind of force of nature that we don't necessarily encounter often or at all. I think this kind of thing exists only in very remote locations. I'm having a real hard time getting a read on this, though. I just keep seeing like something so incredibly strong and fierce and forceful that it just took part of him.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why it's hard for me to fully understand, because I just don't know if it's something of the elements, like, and I don't know, like a mixture of like a high wind, but it's more than that. I don't know.
It's like a something, high wind, but like with something behind it almost, or like the wind itself has a consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Right.
How odd, man! We're getting some weird stuff. There is some shit out there in the world.
I wasn't even thinking it was going to be.
No, I figured he would just fall or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That is unsettling. But again, like what I'm feeling is like whatever this thing, it's not malicious. It's just a natural force that he happened to wrong in the middle of, Right.
It's something natural from the elements or
yeah, and maybe, you know what? I take it back. Maybe when I said it's not weather related, the weather could be a trigger for whatever this is. Like it only exists in certain conditions, and weather is involved in that. Maybe.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But I don't know the terms for the different weather, phenomenons out there. There could be something for what this is. There could be a name. It could be a known. I don't know, but that's just what I'm leaning towards.
No, I agree. I got the same thing. I just seeing like it's not a pretty sight. It's just like full, and then part of it's gone.
Yeah.
Weird. It's so interesting.
Very strange.
We're unable to see past a certain point when looking into these things. You know what I mean? Like, it's just totally blank, totally blocked past a certain point. That's sort of fascinating to me.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Number 4, Douglas Legg. On July 10, 1971, 8-year-old Douglas Legg was on a hike in the Adirondack Forest Santanoni Reserve when his uncle spotted poison ivy and told Douglas to put on long pants to protect himself. Douglas quickly headed back towards the family's cabin, which was a straight and short distance away, but he never returned. Now, unlike a lot of the kids who've gone missing in national parks, Douglas was very familiar with these woods. His family owned the cabin where they were staying and described Douglas as a mini woodsman because they all hiked there together so often. Douglas' disappearance sparked one of the southern Adirondacks' largest search and rescue missions, with more than 600 people searching the woods. But like David Gonzalez, Douglas left no trail. Unlike in the Gonzalez case, though, rescuers used dogs in their search. Some accounts describe dogs following Douglas' scent over a 30-mile trail through difficult terrain. How could a young child, even one experienced in the woods, have traveled alone for such a distance? The family became so desperate to find Douglas that they began suspecting each other and even close friends of abducting Douglas. But investigators were certain that Douglas had simply gotten lost. It's been nearly 50 years, and Douglas has never been found.
Okay, I got something extremely strange that might apply to other of the missing, like the ones where they're found very far away. Okay, what I am seeing is like trying to look for a string or something to illustrate. All right, picture like a taut string, and that's the length between one point and another. Okay, and then I think what's happening. It sounds insane, but it's like that slip we talked about earlier. They're just sort of stepping into some kind of like, I don't want to say portal, I don't want to say slip, but it's just something that causes, instead of having to go like, let's say 30 miles between point to point, it like brings it together. So it's easier to get, he wouldn't even realize that he was walking that far. He wouldn't even realize he was being taken that far or whatever. And then maybe you step out of it. Maybe, I don't know, but that's just what I'm getting.
Okay. I am getting, well, I originally got him, I was able to get him walking, and, even before that, he was, it showed an image of, him and others, like, just like playing around, being comfortable in their setting. And then I did get him strolling and quickly taken away, removed.
You say that because I also got a vision of him, like something holding him and then like whoosh, like super, super fast.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I got. So it did give me a feeling of abduction, taking to, I don't know if it's, someone off the streets or if it's somebody who again has a familiarity with the space and can quickly and easily,
so do you think
find their way?
You think it's a person? Because I don't get person. I think
yes, partially. I partially get person, but I cannot see the person. So that's what makes me feel
right.
What I get, and this is gonna sound weird, what I got is a large. When you used to play that one as a kid, you put the potato sack over you.
Yeah,
that's what it looked like, a large potato sack that grabbed him and
Oh my gosh, yeah, I just saw that like vividly. Yes,
yeah,
I agree.
So that's why I'm like, it feels like an abduction, but I what is that potato sack thing? I don't know. Did they put him over him? Is that what they look like? I don't know. Did they have the people that put to try to make them look like they are of the trees when they're hunting? I just can't think of what it's called right now.
Oh, like a ghillie suit?
Yeah, like, was it? I don't know, but it's something that would freak me out if I saw that. But that's the disguise that I saw
right now. Yeah, because what I'm seeing, like him being taken very quickly, like it's so quickly, like a human couldn't go that quick.
Yeah, very quick. Yes, it's that whoosh feeling again, like the there and then not.
What about this? Whatever this thing is, could it have been trying to look like a person?
Could have very well been. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm having a hard time.
Me too.
And maybe because I don't want to lean into that. I don't know, but
it's really freaking me out. I don't want to either. That's
yeah.
a horrible, horrible feeling. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's something like so foreign to the way that, you know what I mean? It's something just so completely contrary to what like comfort.
Yeah. 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 Exactly. I don't want to lean into what or who that was. All I know is that it was like an abduction though.
Yeah. I'm gonna say what for sure. I don't think that was a who, but yeah.
Yeah.
These poor kids, like
that's frightening.
I keep trying to lean in to be like, what is going on here? But I think what it is just whoever's available,
Yeah, they're exactly. It's 100% whoever is available.
Wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Number 3, John Devine. Olympic National Park in northern Washington state has a feature that's not as majestic as its mountain views. At least 9 hikers have mysteriously disappeared from the area in the past 30 years, one of whom was 73-year-old John Devine. In 1997, John planned to hike into the park from Mount Baldy. The trail's a tough 24 miles, and though John was elderly, he was also an experienced long-distance hiker. John was camping with his friend Greg Balzer, and they had split up on the day that John went missing. Greg went off to hunt while John took off on a day hike. John never returned. The fruitless search for John lasted a full week until a rescue helicopter crash killed 3 people and injured 5 others. By that time, weather conditions had deteriorated, making the chances of finding John slim. Friends and family said that John wouldn't want to put people in danger on his behalf, and the search was called off. The search helicopter's crash is as mysterious as John's disappearance. Before takeoff, the pilot used a hand signal indicating that he was going to wait 5 minutes for conditions to improve before attempting it. A moment later, the helicopter departed vertically without warning and crashed into the side of the mountain. Unfortunately, John was never found, and his disappearance remains a mystery.
Right, we might have to quit. This freaked me out.
So what I got for the plane, or the helicopter, I'm sorry, is a loss of power. Power was disconnected. There is a point where the power was disconnected due to that a location. I don't know why.
So what I'm getting is like, we were talking about natural conditions being in the perfect alignment for someone to just slip into a different place.
Mm-hmm.
I think like a side effect of that happening is maybe it has a weird effect on the weather. Like whatever is going on there can cause, storms or whatever, some kind of bad weather, because it's just sort of like, it shouldn't be there, and it's just messing with your natural pattern.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think similarly with the helicopter, it's just it's messing things up. And I think that's how the power became disconnected. It's just a side effect of whatever this phenomenon is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think also people can become a little confused if they're near the area,
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah.
In his instance, I feel like he was confused. I did see a pretty graphic, quick image of there was an animal involved in this situation, I feel like, and but that was after the fact. I don't think that was initially the cause of the death, or it could have been. I was trying to be sensitive to, you know what I mean? But I did get a graphic image of something that did some type of spear.
Yeah.
That, did something. And I don't know if it's from somebody who did that or an accidental type of thing. I'm not quite sure. But afterwards, animals were involved.
Oh,
and
sorry, go on.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, how does this sound? He experiences this phenomenon where he slips into another place, and when he sort of like crosses through, it's in the wrong spot, and it's causing him to be like impaled.
Oh gosh. Mm-hmm.
Or like,
that's exactly what it was. I just didn't want to say that word. Yeah,
I'm gonna go for it. It's horrible. Like he slipped through, and instead of slipping through and he's just in another forest that looks unfamiliar to him, it's a spot where it just...
And it's like, what even is that though? And why? Like,
I don't know.
Where did this come? Where did that thing come from? That tool, if that's what you want to call it. But where did that come from and why? But that's what I saw. And
I keep trying to feel into whatever this other place is. Are they all slipping into the same place? Is it like an inverse of art? Like, I don't know. I can't feel it. Like, it won't let me.
I can't feel it either.
And you know what? Like you said, that may be for the best, because
it's
a very unsettling sort of trying to feel.
I'm wondering if when we're all together, our group, if we could lean into.
Absolutely.
If it's something that takes more, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it might take, you and me, Pam, Mari-Lyn, Trevor, everybody.
Yeah.
To just lean into it. Yeah. Well, you know what? If we figure this out with all of us, we will come back and update everybody.
Yeah. For sure.
I don't think this is the kind of thing where like us as like lone psychics or whatever.
Yeah.
Can feel into it. It's something that would require sort of more power. But even then, I don't know if we're going to be able to see it, but we'll try. Right. We'll definitely try.
I definitely don't want to dream of this.
No, I really don't.
I don't. I would prefer to not have this in my dream. You know?
Yeah, we're going to have to really clear ourselves after this.
Yeah, for sure.
Very, very unsettling. It's just like you're being placed in an alien world and you can't get it. Like, it's your loss of home, it's loss of comfort, it's loss of familiarity. It's just a horrible feeling.
Yes. And they feel that. They are 100%. And, you hear about that all the time. Like, when there's people that do go missing in, desert or wilderness, they oftentimes will say that, like, you think you know where you're going, but then you make one quick turn and next thing you know, where am I? And so then you think you're walking the correct way back and it's actually you're going opposite and you're going even further out, so
it's interesting to me that there are I should have found this book before we started recording, but I like to read about like folklore from across the globe. There are so many cultures, particularly cultures that maybe came up near a forest, that have legends about like forest blindness or like being led away to be confused and that kind of thing. And it's just very, very strange.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's an absolute real thing.
I do too.
I think even people that don't believe in anything paranormal or supernatural do agree that something about these large spaces of land, you can absolutely just lose your full senses of
disorientation.
Where am I? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, very strange. All right, I think we have 2 left. Let's try to get through it.
Yep.
Number 2, Alfred Beilhartz. 5-year-old Alfred Beilhartz is the first recorded drowning in Colorado's Rocky Mountain National Park, though whether Alfred actually drowned is controversial. On July 2nd, 1938, Alfred had gone on a fishing trip with his parents and 10 older siblings for the Independence Day weekend. Alfred was with his family on a trail near Fall River when he fell behind the rest of them and vanished. A search began immediately and expanded to more than 100 civilian Conservation Corps members within 45 minutes, but there was barely any sign of Alfred anywhere. The authorities originally believed Alfred had fallen into the river. They dammed it up and dragged it for 6 miles, but didn't find any sign of him. Bloodhounds tracked Alfred's scent 500 feet uphill before they reached a fork in the trail and lost the scent. A couple hiking in another part of the park, 6 miles away and 2,500 to 3,000 feet higher in elevation than the spot Alfred disappeared from, reported hearing a cry and seeing a small boy resembling Alfred on a high ridge in a treacherous area called the Devil's Nest near the top of Mount Chaplin. By the time investigators arrived there a day later, the boy was gone. An extensive 10-day search involving 150 volunteers turned up no indication of the child's whereabouts. Due to the passage of time since Alfred's disappearance, his case is no longer being investigated. He was never found.
Oh.
Very sad. No.
Yeah.
Okay. This one feels human related as far as the cry goes. I feel like they were hearing. Yeah. That's actually heartbreaking. That's very sad.
Really, really sad. Yeah, I don't know if we should go into this one.
Yeah.
We'll just say it's It's not supernatural.
No.
Yeah, we're just Chris and I are gonna make an executive decision and just move on to the next one.
Yeah, I'd like to get out of that energy. Yep.
But let's just say, he was abducted by a human.
Yeah.
Number 1, Bessie and Glenn Hyde. Bessie and Glenn Hyde were honeymooning in northern Arizona at the Grand Canyon when they vanished. They were traveling down the Colorado River by scow in October of 1928 and planned to boat through the Grand Canyon. Bessie would have been the first woman ever to do so successfully. Glenn had run tough rivers before, but Bessie was a boating newbie. The couple ran across other boaters a few weeks before their disappearance and said they got the feeling that Bessie wanted to turn back, but Glenn was pushing her on. If they completed the trip successfully, they could go on a paid lecture tour. So this trip was more than just fun. There was possible money at stake. Cut to several months later. The Hyde's boat was discovered that winter, seemingly undisturbed. It was upright and full of supplies, but the couple was simply gone. There are many theories about what happened to the Hydes. Did they disembark and try a too difficult side hike? Did they have an argument that turned violent? Or were they abducted? There are conflicting reports about what happened to the Hydes, and more than one Bessie Hyde sighting in the years that followed. Well, there you have it. Those are our choices for 10 of the strangest national park disappearances.
All right. So, I got something a little strange. Unmarked territory and simply being lost, unmarked territory.
One being lost, the other looking for them and getting lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like accidental. I couldn't come with my words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think this is supernatural in the slightest. I don't know. Yeah, I don't think that the Bessie sightings are maybe accurate, but it's odd. I definitely think he met with an accident. I think she went somewhere and he went looking for her and he got lost and met with an accident. I'm having a harder time figuring out what her deal is, though.
Yeah, same. But I think it did happen in that way. Theirs was a little bit more difficult to pick up on. Simply put, yes, it just was accidental. Nothing paranormal and nothing. I don't think that energy thing, that slip, had anything to do with it. I think this was just, I just kept getting unmarked territory.
Yeah, they just weren't found because it's just so enormous. And
yeah,
especially back then, people just had not gone there yet. So,
yep. I mean, and years later, it's not going to happen, so.
All right. Well, that was interesting. That was different than I expected.
Yeah.
It's kind of eerie that we picked up the same sort of phenomenon, like threading throughout a lot of these stories, but unexplained and probably too much for our brain. So we were just not allowed to see past certain areas. But what we will do is see if we can get our whole group to look into this, and if we get anything interesting, we will let you guys know.
For sure.
It may be that it's just blocked. We're just not allowed to see. And that happens sometimes. But all right. Well, I hope everybody liked this. Is a little bit different stories. There wasn't like a great deal of visuals, but I hope you guys found it as interesting as we did to sort of look into these wilderness phenomena. It's very, very weird, very spooky.
Yeah.
I will end by saying something kind of weird. Let's just say I haven't vetted this. What I heard is that the national parks either don't keep or refuse to share their lists of people that have gone missing in their parks.
Yep.
And then just to throw out something else kind of interesting, there have been a couple of these cases where the FBI has showed up, and there's no reason for the FBI to be there.
Yep.
That's exactly. It's going to make that a little spookier for everybody.
Yeah. And there's so many stories. And maybe we can come back again with some different stories. I mean, because there's just so many.
I have books. I have a couple of the missing 411 books, and if people like that, we could probably just go through the stories. They're very short. We could just go through the stories on camera and see what we get if people are interested. So yeah, let us know in the comments if that's something that you'd like to see. If not, Karissa and I might just do it anyway without putting
right, because we're interested. Yeah,
just for fun. But yeah, all right. Well, thank you, Karissa. This was very interesting.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Hope you guys enjoy.
Yes. And yeah, definitely like and subscribe, please. I always forget to say that. And yeah, we will see you next week.
All right. Bye.